News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Rix. President Trump set to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy today in Florida to try to nail down a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. Zelenskiy has said his focus will be on territorial issues and security guarantees. He met with Canada's Prime Minister, and the two held a video call with about a dozen European and NATO leaders yesterday to align their stance ahead of the Trump meeting. Tomorrow, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu then heads to Mar-a-Lago and is set to discuss the next phase of its ceasefire in Gaza with Trump. Those talks will likely focus on rising tensions with Lebanon and Syria and concerns over Iran's efforts to rebuild its missile capabilities. Australia says it's tightening security across Sydney following the deadly attack at Bondi Beach. Leaders say residents should expect to see more armed police officers and army patrols through New Year's Eve after 15 people were killed at a Hanukkah celebration earlier this month. One of those shooters was killed, the others facing murder and terrorism charges. The former president of Brazil just had surgery to deal with a pretty annoying problem. Bloomberg's Ed Kalegi has details.
Jair Bolsonaro underwent a medical procedure on Saturday afternoon at a hospital in Brasilia to treat a bout of persistent hiccups. The intervention, described as successful, involved blocking the phrenic nerve, which runs from the neck to the diaphragm. A second procedure is scheduled for Monday to block the same nerve on the opposite side. Ed Kalegi, Bloomberg Radio.
Today is one of the last big travel days of the year as millions of Americans head back home after the holidays. But weather's been a big issue for airlines. Clint Henderson's managing editor of The Points Guy.
Airlines are recovering fairly quickly from these weather events, unlike prior years. So that's a little bright spot for me. Also, good news, after Sunday, the crowds start to slow down. So you'll see the busiest day be Sunday as people are going back to work, getting back home after the holidays, and then it'll start to taper off.
About 200 flights have been canceled so far today. Stocks are on track for a third straight year of double-digit gains as we continue Wall Street's so-called Santa Claus rally. They're the final few days of trading of the year and the first two of the new year, when investors typically cram extra money into the market and send it higher. Wall Street strategists largely expect that advance to continue, with confidence returning for corporate profits, especially in AI and tech stocks. And there's a ton of data to watch for in the week ahead. Bloomberg's Karen Moskow has a preview.
The week begins with a look at pending home sales. Then Tuesday, we get the minutes from the Federal Reserve's December meeting. The weekly report on initial jobless claims will be out Wednesday due to the New Year's holiday. Most financial markets are closed New Year's Day. That's the same day Greg Abel officially takes over for Warren Buffett as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. Friday, we get S&P Global U.S. Manufacturing PMI. Karen Moskow, Bloomberg Radio.
Shares of Warner Brothers Discovery fell 1.4% Friday following reports that Paramount Skydance could drop its bid and instead litigate the studio over how it's handled its sale. But Bloomberg's Chris Palmeri says CEO David Ellison's unlikely to walk away.
In fact, if you look at what happened earlier this week when they made all those concessions to Warner Brothers and they had Larry Ellison backstop $40 billion, sort of built into that $40 billion is money that they could pay to Warner Brothers if they cancel the Netflix deal. There's a breakup fee that's sort of built into that backstop from Larry Ellison. So all indications are they're proceeding with this deal.
Paramount has slammed Warner's board for ignoring its latest all-cash offer in favor of a, quote, inferior bid from Netflix due to a personal relationship between its CEOs. Johnson & Johnson is scrapping a mid-stage study of its experimental eczema drug after it failed to meet the high bar efficacy this week required to advance development. But the company says it remains committed to working on treatments. Eczema, or atopic dermatitis, affects more than 100 million people worldwide. French actress Brigitte Bardot has died. The 1956 film And God Created a Woman helped launch her international fame. She was a 20th century screen siren and later in life an animal rights activist. Bardot was 91. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Rix, and this is Bloomberg.